I have been with my wife for 4 years. I have a 5-year-old from a previous relationship. My 5-year-old is from my first long-term relationship during college. We split shortly after her birth, as my then partner admitted to being unfaithful and not being ready to start a family. My daughter loves my wife. They are inseparable. My ex does not have much to do with my daughter or myself except cause the occasional drama. She did not want any custody or visitation time, so my wife is her mother for all intents and purposes. My wife is almost 8 months pregnant. She has shut me out of the entire pregnancy, but refuses to admit anything is wrong. I feel completely ignored and hurt. When we first learned she was pregnant, she told me while I was making breakfast. Of course, I was elated. However, since it was an unplanned pregnancy, I asked how she was feeling at first. She began smiling and crying about how excited she is. I picked her up, gave her a million kisses, and told her I was so excited to have a baby too, and what a wonderful mother she would be. And all good, right? She went all out to announce to everyone else. Balloons and boxes, t-shirts, and best big sister mugs. I assume the casual announcement with me is because she wanted my feelings on growing our family before celebrating. However, when her sister asked about how I liked my box, my wife quickly said, "He didn't get one. This isn't his first rodeo." It was like pulling teeth to get her to let me go to the ultrasound appointments. She didn't want me to miss work, didn't want to interrupt our daughter's routine, excuse after excuse. When it came to listening to the heartbeat, my wife instantly started crying happy tears. The tech was telling her how strong the heartbeat was, how precious our little one was, etc. I was feeling a bit emotional and cleared my throat to prevent crying. The tech said, "Aw, Dad, isn't that sound beautiful?" My wife immediately said, "This isn't his first child. It's not that special for him." I immediately said, "This is one of the most important moments of my life. I can't think of anything more special." The atmosphere was clearly awkward after. Another thing that bothered me, I heard our daughter and my wife's mom laughing in the living area. I was in the kitchen making dinner. When I walked in and asked what the fuss was about, our daughter was touching my wife's stomach and was laughing with excitement that the baby was moving and it would be so cute. My wife let my daughter and mother-in-law feel the baby move before me. I was hurt, but simply said how happy I was. Later that night, my wife was poking her belly and laughing. I asked her to feel as well, and she said, "You've felt our daughter move as a baby. What can be better than that? She was the cutest baby ever." She has felt pretty poorly throughout her pregnancy, but refuses to let me help her. If I bring her a snack and drink, she offers it to our daughter. If I try and rub her feet or legs, she asks me to play with our daughter so she doesn't feel like she is being replaced or ignored. I simply do not ignore my daughter. We have bonding time. I'm an active parent, but I want to love my wife. She can hardly eat, but when I asked her what I can prepare for her, it's whatever our daughter wants. We went to the zoo with our daughter, and my wife started feeling bad. She had cramps and was considering going to the hospital, severe nausea and dizziness. I carried her to a bench nearby, and she began to cry, saying she can't even stand up. I told her, "Let me call an ambulance, or I'll carry you to the car and drive you." She said she didn't want to ruin our daughter's trip, and we didn't even make it to the aviary, our daughter's favorite part. I said I wasn't leaving when she asked me to continue to go through the zoo with our daughter. We sat for a while until her dad showed up. She didn't even tell me he was coming, and he took her to the doctor. I was shocked and followed them with our daughter. When we arrived, our daughter was upset about missing the aviary and pouting. At that point, the health of my wife and unborn child were my concern. I really didn't care our daughter was upset. My wife was irate that I made our daughter miss out. Another example, we were watching our daughter play in a local kid's sport. I asked her, "Do you think our kid will be athletic? Artistic? Enjoy science or math?" She said, "This is our daughter's moment. We shouldn't make it about someone who isn't even here." Our daughter was on the field, we were sitting in the stands. We had both waved to her, held up a sign for her, everything. I just wanted to talk about our baby. When her bump was really showing, she would always show it off to anyone who wanted to look. Her family, friends, siblings, etc. "Do you want to see my bump? I'm huge, so excited. I can't believe it's only X more weeks." They all touch her bump, talk to it, etc. Her parents come and read or tell back in the day stories. They go to the beach. 1,000 bump pictures posted on her friends' social media accounts. So ready to be an honorary auntie, her sister, wife puts the B in bump and beautiful. If we go out together, she wears the loosest clothes so I don't see it. I'll even see her pull her shirt down when she sees me come into the room. She sat on me the other day after being playful in bed. Her bump was right in my face. I ran my hands up it and said, "You are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. You already are a great mom to our daughter. I can't wait to see you as our family grows." This was one of the first times I was really able to feel her bump. So I rested my hand there and said, "I love you so much already. I'm so excited to meet you. I hope you have your mom's eyes." She moved off of me and said, "I know my ex-partner had a bigger bump than me. I bet it was fun seeing our daughter move all the time. You don't have to act like you care. I know you've done this before." I said I don't think about it that way. Our daughter is special, but this is a completely new and different special because it was with her and our baby was someone completely new and special. She began to leave the room and I could see her shoulders shake from crying. I am 100% positive she is not cheating, nor has she ever. I just cannot wrap my head around why she doesn't want me to be happy about this. The rest of the time is completely normal, as long as I don't mention the baby. She is affectionate, initiates intimacy, brags about what a good husband I am, and how great I've made this pregnancy. We plan for our future, have date nights, everything else. Unfortunately, we had a fight where I snapped. I had a break between clients at work, so I went to a local baby store and got a lot of things off her list and Pinterest board. I came home and surprised her with flowers, a prenatal massage certificate, and her favorite food, as well as the baby items. She seemed very grateful, but when I came home, the items were no longer there. She said she returned it to buy our daughter stuff, as she was going to feel left out. I lost it. I cried for the first time in our marriage and yelled that having a child with her was the worst mistake I've ever made, that at least my deadbeat ex at least gave me the chance to know my unborn child. That I didn't care about the baby because she wouldn't even let me bond with it. I do care, have since she told me. That I hope she was as miserable as she made me and that she better be prepared for a custody dispute. She is a stay-at-home mom for our daughter. She simply said, "I know you don't care about the baby, but I'll die before you take my baby from me." What? I have begged her to let me interact with her/our baby. I asked her if her therapist had any insight into why she was being like this. She said no, that she isn't doing anything. I told her what I said above, and she said, "I had those experiences already, so it shouldn't matter." I asked her if the baby was mine. I know it is. I was just being mean. She threw her phone at me and said, "Yes, go through it. I'll do a paternity test, whatever you need." To add, I just called her parents and asked them to go to our house as we were having a disagreement and went to a hotel. I do not want to stress her or our unborn child, and I really want to repair this, but I truly don't know how. I'm staying at an Airbnb for now until we can figure this out, but I truly don't know what to do. I miss her like crazy, and I can't even begin to understand why she wants to behave this way. I have apologized for what I said, but I can't take back what I said, and I worry about when our baby is born if she will even want to be a family with me, or let me have anything to do with our baby. I spoke with a mutual friend who says she is very distraught and says she can't be a single mom, loves me, but her actions prove the opposite time and time again, even when I beg for a change. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I get being frustrated, but something about this feels off. First of all, her absolutely shutting down and keeping you out would come off to me as being wild if not for the things you yelled at her in the fight. Here are the heavy hitters. You said you regret the baby. You threatened a custody battle. You said she was cheating. That doesn't just magically show up. And the fact that you were willing to say those in rage makes me suspicious of everything else you have said. Especially as you say that you've done everything right, but then you default to severe threats and accusations. Something is rotten in this story, and I'd love to hear her side. Comment 2. I came home and surprised her with flowers, a prenatal massage certificate, and her favorite food, as well as the baby items. She seemed very grateful, but when I came home, the items were no longer there. She said she returned them to buy Elle stuff. Yeah, I really hate when I come home, and everything is great. But then I come home, and everything sucks. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for checking in. So, after I left for the Airbnb, things got even more complicated. I was hoping some space would help us both cool down, but it seems like it only made things worse. My wife didn't reach out to me at all, which was strange because we usually can't go a day without talking. I tried calling her a few times, but she didn't pick up. I was getting really worried, so I decided to go back home to check on her. When I got there, her parents were still at the house. They told me she had been crying non-stop, and refused to eat or drink anything. They were really concerned about her health and the baby's health. I felt terrible for causing her so much stress, but I still didn't understand why she was acting this way. I asked her parents if they knew anything, but they just shook their heads and said she wouldn't talk to them either. I finally managed to get her alone and asked her what was going on. She broke down and told me she felt like I didn't care about her or the baby because I already had a child. She said she felt like she was competing with my ex and our daughter for my attention and love. I was shocked. I had no idea she felt this way. I tried to reassure her that I loved her and our baby just as much as I loved our daughter, but she didn't seem convinced. Then she dropped the news. She told me she had been keeping a secret from me. She said she had been diagnosed with postpartum depression after our daughter was born, but she never told me because she didn't want me to think she was a bad mother. She said she had been struggling with depression throughout this pregnancy as well, but she didn't want to burden me with it. She said she felt like she was failing as a mother and a wife, and she didn't know how to make things better. I was stunned. I had no idea she was going through this. I felt terrible for not noticing the signs and for not being there for her. I told her I was sorry and that I would do whatever it took to help her. I asked her if she was seeing a therapist, and she said she had been, but she stopped going because she felt like it wasn't helping. I told her we could find a new therapist together and that I would go with her to the appointments if she wanted. She seemed relieved that I was willing to help, but she still seemed distant. I asked her if there was anything else she needed to tell me, and she hesitated for a moment before telling me that she had been feeling guilty about something. She said she had been in contact with my ex behind my back. She said my ex had reached out to her a few months ago, and they had been talking ever since. She said my ex had been telling her things about our past relationship and our daughter that made her feel insecure and inadequate. I was furious. I couldn't believe my ex would do something like that, and I couldn't believe my wife would keep it from me. I asked her why she didn't tell me, and she said she was afraid I would be angry and that it would cause more problems. I told her I was angry, but not at her. I was angry at my ex for trying to sabotage our relationship and at myself for not seeing what was going on. I decided to confront my ex about it. I called her and asked her why she had been talking to my wife behind my back. She denied it at first, but then she admitted it. She said she was jealous of my new life and wanted to make me miserable. She said she didn't want me to be happy with someone else and that she wanted to ruin my marriage. I was livid. I told her to stay away from my wife and my family and that I would take legal action if she didn't. After that, I went back to my wife and told her what my ex had said. She seemed relieved that I had confronted her, but she still seemed upset. I asked her what was wrong, and she said she felt like she had betrayed me by talking to my ex. I told her I understood why she did it and that I wasn't mad at her. I told her we needed to focus on our relationship and our baby and not let my ex get in the way. We decided to go to couples therapy to work through our issues. It was tough at first, but it helped us communicate better and understand each other's feelings. My wife started seeing a new therapist for her depression, and she seemed to be doing better. We started spending more time together and talking about our baby. She even let me feel the baby move and started including me in the pregnancy more. Things were starting to get better, but then we had another setback. My wife went into labor early, and it was a difficult delivery. The baby was born premature and had to stay in the NICU for a few weeks. It was a stressful time for both of us, but we supported each other and stayed strong for our baby. We spent every day at the hospital, taking turns holding our baby and talking to the doctors. Our baby finally came home, and we were overjoyed. It was a challenging few weeks, but we made it through together. My wife and I are still working on our relationship, but we're in a better place now. We're both committed to being the best parents we can be and to supporting each other through the ups and downs. Thanks for reading. Ate for staying with my cheating partner after his affair with his boss. My partner, 34-year-old male, and I, 29-year-old female, have been together for 5 years. We have the most loving, wholesome relationship and have been blessed to have only had one rough patch that we communicated about, and we have grown back stronger than ever. Or so I thought. I found out yesterday that he had a full-blown affair about 2.5 years ago with his boss, a woman around 30 years old at work. She is no longer there. They were seeing each other for about 2 months, had intimacy upwards of 20 times, and told each other they loved each other. This has all been confirmed by my partner. The worst part is that I found out from the other woman's partner, a man around 35 years old of 7 years. He had suspected something went on since it started, while I, on the other hand, was fully clueless with 100% of my trust and devotion invested. The other woman's boyfriend found my partner's work email online and emailed him last Thursday, telling him he knows what he did and wants answers. My partner immediately started panicking and had the other man call him, and my partner confessed everything to him. The guy told my partner he needs to tell me by the end of the weekend, or he'll tell me himself. Well, Tuesday came and my partner did not muster up the respect for me to tell me himself. So I get a random Facebook message out of the blue that destroys my life. Or so it feels right now anyways. My partner says it was purely physical and wasn't emotional for him, though some of the details don't suggest that to me personally. It started during the one rough patch we had in our relationship. I was working full-time and studying 4+ hours after work most nights to get my new career's licensing to build a better life for us. He wasn't getting a ton of attention during this time, I will admit, but also never suggested it was an issue that I was temporarily very busy for about 5 weeks. I legitimately had no clue whatsoever. We both discussed how it was a temporary timeline and how it was worth it for our future and goals. Yesterday, before I got the dreaded message, I would have told anyone that I would bet my life he was faithful and honest with me always. I would have told you we had such a strong and wholesome relationship, and we've worked so hard together to create a life that we both love. I would have told you that he is my forever human and bragged about how blessed I am. And now I just don't know what to do. I don't know how I could move past this and mend our relationship. He is clearly full of remorse and said he will happily take years of making it up to me to not lose me. But I don't know. Please help. Please tell me what you would do or what steps you would take to consider your future moves. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Honey, so for 5 weeks you were busy and that gave him justification for a 2-month affair? He has no love or respect for you. He had no intention of you ever finding out. Even when given an ultimatum, he still couldn't be bothered to tell you. He doesn't value you at all. He didn't care for the fallout, the emotional devastation this would incur. Hell, the affair partner's ex had more respect for you. If someone is at this level of disrespect, there's nothing to salvage. He chose to have an affair. He chose to keep it hidden. He was having a great time, having his cake and eating it all. He will do this again. He's not sorry about the affair. He's sorry he got caught. Comment 2. They exchanged I love yous, but it wasn't emotional for your partner. Hell, if I was a cheater and I thought I could get my partner to believe that nonsense, I would throw it out there as well. What else do I have to lose? Processing the necessity of a breakup is hard. So very hard, especially when it's entirely unexpected like this. But you know what you should do? Don't blame yourself. Don't make excuses for him. Being sad and uncertain is entirely normal in this situation. Do what's best for you. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading. So, after finding out about the affair, I decided to take some time for myself. I stayed with my sister for a few days to clear my head. During this time, my partner was constantly texting and calling, apologizing, and begging for another chance. He even showed up at my sister's place once, but she sent him away. I needed space to think. While I was away, I found out more about the affair from the other woman's partner. He told me that their relationship had been rocky for a while, and he suspected something was off when she started coming home late and being secretive with her phone. He confronted her, and she admitted to the affair. They broke up shortly after, and she moved out. This made me realize that my partner's affair wasn't just a one-time mistake. It had real consequences for everyone involved. When I finally returned home, my partner and I had a long, emotional conversation. He admitted that he felt neglected during our rough patch and sought comfort in his boss. He said it was a huge mistake and that he regretted it every day since. He promised to do whatever it takes to rebuild my trust and make our relationship stronger. I decided to give him a chance, but with conditions. We started couples therapy to work through our issues and rebuild trust. The therapist suggested we both write letters to each other, detailing our feelings and what we need to move forward. This exercise was eye-opening for both of us. My partner's letter was filled with remorse and a genuine desire to make things right. My letter, on the other hand, was filled with anger, hurt, and confusion. It was a tough process, but it helped us understand each other better. During one of our therapy sessions, the therapist asked my partner to explain why he didn't tell me about the affair when it happened. He said he was scared of losing me and thought he could bury the past and move on. This revelation made me realize that he was more concerned about his own feelings than mine. It was a hard pill to swallow, but it also made me see that he was genuinely trying to change. As the weeks went by, we started to make progress. My partner became more attentive and supportive, and I began to see glimpses of the man I fell in love with. However, there were still moments of doubt and insecurity. I found myself questioning his every move and wondering if he was truly committed to making things right. One night, we had a huge fight. I accused him of not being honest with me about his feelings and intentions. He broke down and admitted that he was struggling with guilt and shame. He said he felt like he didn't deserve my forgiveness and was afraid that I would never fully trust him again. This raw honesty was a turning point for us. It made me realize that he was genuinely remorseful and willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. Around this time, I also started to reflect on my own feelings and actions. I realized that I had been so focused on my career and our future that I had neglected our relationship. While this didn't excuse his actions, it made me see that we both had a role in the breakdown of our relationship. This realization helped me to start letting go of some of my anger and resentment. As we continued therapy, we began to rebuild our relationship piece by piece. We started going on dates again, spending quality time together, and rediscovering the things that brought us joy. It wasn't easy, and there were still moments of doubt and pain, but we were committed to making it work. Then, about a month after the initial revelation, something happened that tested my partner's true loyalties. He received a job offer from a prestigious company in another city. It was a dream opportunity for him, but it would mean moving away and starting fresh. He was torn between his career aspirations and his commitment to rebuilding our relationship. We had a long, emotional discussion about the job offer. He said he wanted to take it, but only if I was willing to move with him. He promised that this new start would be a chance for us to leave the past behind and build a stronger future together. I was conflicted. On one hand, I wanted to support his career and give our relationship a fresh start. On the other hand, I was afraid that moving away would only add more stress and uncertainty to our already fragile relationship. In the end, I decided to take a leap of faith. I agreed to move with him, but with the condition that we continue therapy and make our relationship a priority. We packed up our lives and moved to the new city, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As we settled into our new home, I couldn't help but feel a mix of hope and fear. I knew that rebuilding trust and healing our relationship would be a long and difficult journey, but I was willing to give it a chance. My partner's willingness to prioritize our relationship over his career aspirations showed me that he was truly committed to making things right. Thank you for reading. AIT for demanding commitment from my partner only to find out they've been cheating on me. I'm 26 years old. We've been together since I was 21. He is now 31. We've been together for 4.5 years in a monogamous relationship. I have a good job and have been stable since we met running my own business. He had a stable job. Then 2020 happened, and he hasn't been stable financially until the end of last year. We also lived together. We were discussing the future, and I don't even necessarily want to get married, but a promise ring would be ideal. He brought up having children about a year ago, which I would like to have some form of commitment if we were to go ahead on the child situation. I grew up in a broken home, as did he, and I wouldn't like the same for my children ideally. I expressed worries of being a single mother, and he said, "You wouldn't be. We would co-parent, and you have family and friends. You would be fine." He said no to the promise ring and that he could see being with me for about 5 more years, maybe longer, but not long term. He told me, "If you want to be with someone forever, you should go be with someone else," which was very painful because this has been the longest relationship in my adult life. Apparently, he doesn't believe in monogamy, which is what I thought our relationship has been since the beginning. A lot of confusion with that, because now I question if the last nearly 5 years I've been with this person was even real. I don't want to feel like a burden, and I don't know why he ever asked me to be his girlfriend if he doesn't believe in that kind of thing anyways. I'm just truly confused because it didn't feel like I was speaking to him, just a stranger or something. A rug has been pulled out from under me. We never fight or have conflict, and usually things are good, but I can't ignore this conversation. I feel hurt and duped, to be honest. Even in times of emotional need, he tells me to go to therapy instead of offering comfort. I feel that things went great up until the last year because I've had a lot of unexpected, uncontrollable situations that have been putting a strain on my happiness, not regarding the relationship, and everything hasn't been sunshine and rainbows. I'm at a loss. This has been a huge slap in the face. I thought we were on the same page up until now, especially when he brought up children. Is it so crazy to ask for a little commitment? Or delusional to want to grow old and have romance together? He's not much of a romance guy. I'm pretty sure he's just comfortable and not deeply in love with me. I could use some advice. Thanks. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He did dupe you. The only proper response to this is, see ya. Start making plans now to get out of this relationship immediately. You are now free to move out and explore other places, do the things you want to do, and after your grieving is done, find someone who's on the same page as you are, and get tested for STDs. This guy's sudden reversal on monogamy smacks of, I've been cheating. Do not ever touch this man again. He doesn't deserve you. Comment 2. Yeah, this guy isn't going to marry you. He already told you what he wants. Now it's whether you're listening or not. Don't read between the lines. There's nothing there. And it hurts, but don't let yourself waste the next 2, 5, 10, 50 years on this guy. He is totally fine just using you and then dumping you in 5 years. There are men out there looking for commitment. I hope the next guy you date will be a quality one. Now, for the update, thanks for reading my last post. So, after that news conversation, things took a turn I didn't expect. The very next day, I decided to confront him about everything that was said. I needed clarity, and I wasn't going to let this confusion fester. We sat down, and I asked him to explain what he meant by not believing in monogamy. He looked uncomfortable, but eventually admitted that he had been seeing someone else for the past few months. He said it wasn't serious, just something casual, but it felt like a knife to my heart. I was devastated. I couldn't believe that the person I had been with for nearly 5 years had been hiding something so significant from me. I asked him why he didn't tell me sooner, and he said he didn't want to hurt me. He thought he could handle both relationships without any issues, but clearly that wasn't the case. I felt betrayed and lost. I didn't know what to do next. The following day, I decided to take some time for myself. I went to stay with my sister for a couple of days to clear my head. While I was there, I started to think about all the red flags I had ignored over the years. There were times when he would come home late without any explanation, or when he would be overly secretive about his phone. I had always trusted him, but now I realized that maybe I shouldn't have. On the third day, I returned home, determined to have a serious conversation about our future. I told him that I couldn't continue in a relationship where I didn't feel valued or respected. He seemed genuinely sorry and said he wanted to make things right. He promised to end things with the other person and focus on our relationship, but I wasn't sure if I could trust him again. As we talked, I started to think about my own past and why I had stayed in this relationship for so long. Growing up in a broken home, I had always craved stability and security. I thought I had found that with him, but now I realized that maybe I was just holding on to a fantasy. I remembered how my parents' relationship had fallen apart and how it had affected me. I didn't want to go through that again, but I also didn't want to settle for a relationship that wasn't fulfilling. Over the next few days, I tried to focus on my work and keep myself busy. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I couldn't just sweep everything under the rug. I needed to make a decision about what was best for me. I talked to my friends and family, and they all supported me in whatever choice I made. But ultimately, it was up to me to decide. One evening, I sat down with him again and told him that I needed some time apart to figure things out. He was upset, but understood. I packed a bag and went to stay with my sister again. During that time, I started to think about what I really wanted in a relationship. I wanted someone who was committed, honest, and supportive. Someone who would be there for me through thick and thin. And I realized that maybe he wasn't that person. As the days went by, I started to feel more at peace with my decision. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I needed to put myself first. I decided to end the relationship and focus on my own happiness. When I told him, he was heartbroken, but he understood. We agreed to go our separate ways and try to remain friends, but I knew it would take time to heal. Looking back, I realized that I had been ignoring my own needs and desires for too long. I had been so focused on making the relationship work that I had forgotten about my own happiness. But now, I was ready to start a new chapter in my life. It wouldn't be easy, but I knew it was the right thing to do. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!